Hey guys, Jason Eastley here, from Politicus USA and the Daily. Welcome. We missed last week's live chat because, well, it was Memorial Day week and everybody was gone and there didn't seem to be a whole lot happening, so it seemed like a good time to take a breather. Some behind the scenes baseball. I am in yet a different location this time. This time, Sarah has generously let me camp out in her studio for a moment while I speak to you about what's going on in Los Angeles. So, thank you, Sarah. Tomorrow is regular video day. Depending on what goes down, what's happening, we will try to have another video tomorrow. If not, I'll let you know. We'll do something later in the week, and I will let you know exactly when and where to, unlike this video. I see people are joining us, so I'm gonna do some hellos before we get to the good stuff. Oh, let me log into the chat, mute my sound because we don't want to hear me twice. Here's the live chat, which I don't see any messages for some reason. You guys are showing up on my camera, but not in the chat. Here we go. Here we go. Ellie, hello. Ellie Pasquala? Ooh, God, that's a rough one. That's not the best way to start the day. As usual, my formal apology for butchering any last names. If you'd like to post phonetically, I'll be happy to pronounce your name correctly in the chat. Annie, hello from Annie. Michael Parsons, you've joined. Hello, Michael. 7 others have also joined. Hello, 7 others who Substack thinks don't deserve names. Lori Nelson, Lori from Chicago. Hi, Lori from Chicago. This is Jason from Western Pennsylvania. Welcome to the chat. Up, SK Die. Hi, SK Die. Kimberly Boudreaux, greetings from California. Oh, we got a California resident. I'll bet there's some strong feelings there about what the president is up to. So we're going to talk about that right away. Let me do a couple more greetings here, see if anybody else pops up. Oh, I think we're all caught up for the moment. Oh, Joy Gammon. Hi, Joy. Welcome to the chat. Some of you guys, there's some familiar names. You guys always come in all the time. Some of you are new, and if you're new, hi, hi, hi. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate it so much. We appreciate it, Sarah and I both. Oh, and we have Shay Baxter from Toronto, interested in the subject. John Paul from Nevada, boycott Washington, D.C. Robin Lister Johnson. Hi, Robin. Hey, hi, everybody. I can do hellos all day, all night, but we got it. We'll do some more hellos in a little bit. Couple things I want to talk to you about. Oh, hello from Camping Vacay. Oh, so awesome. Lynn, that's Bridget. Lynn, hi, Lynn from Southern California. Good try on the name. Thank you. Oh, Robin Lister Johnson is in Los Angeles. So, our California people, you have questions, you have things you want to add because you're there, especially in SoCal, please chime in on the chat. Let everybody else know what's going on because I find your local media coverage in Southern California has been really good. The national coverage, hey Robert, how you doing? Has not been so great. Andrea Elliott, hello. Oh, Lynn, we love LA. A lot of us love LA. I have never been there, but I've heard much about it. I'm kind of an East Coast guy. So let's get down to brass tacks here. Paula, hi. Brass tacks here. Let's talk about what's really going on because there's a lot of conflicting analysis and information out there about what Trump is doing and why Trump is doing it. But I think to really understand what's happening, you have to look at some of the other things that are going on within the administration. Um, oh, Catherine Todd. Hi, Catherine. I think you've been with us before, but hello, welcome back. You have to look at some of the things that are going on within the administration. Um, First of all, ICE and Homeland Security are under a ton of pressure from Trump and Stephen Miller. Trump and Stephen Miller have imposed a quota on the number of immigrants that they want deported each day. They want 3,000 immigrants a day deported. ICE is struggling to have the capacity to deport a 1,000 immigrants a day. Now, the problem with establishing numerical quotas like this is, of course, Trump ran on only deporting criminals who were here in the country illegally. What they quickly found out was there are not enough criminals in the country illegally to hit Trump's quotas, which is why you have stories like ICE going to Home Depot and rounding up a bunch of people, and ICE kidnapping a Chinese tourist off the street and leaving her 12-year-old child on the streets in New York. These are not uncommon stories. They're happening regularly, and they're happening because the pressure's coming pretty straight from the White House. The White House wants more deportations, and they have a quota, and this is all about politics and looking big and strong, which brings us to Los Angeles. After what happened in San Diego at the restaurant where all the people went viral for standing up and protesting, the ICE raid at a restaurant, and some of the ICE raids that have inspired protests in Los Angeles, Southern California, um, Trump decided to send in the National Guard. Now, as we know, if you've been paying attention to the story, the local officials there had everything under control. Oh, hi, Rob Nelson. Yes, we're going to get to the Marines. Because there's a whole story involving the Marines too. Um, Trump sent the National Guard for a crisis that doesn't exist. Now, the tell, of course, was that Trump posted preemptively on Truth Social before the National Guard arrived, congratulating the National Guard on a good job well done for breaking up the protest, which was pretty phenomenal because the National Guard wasn't there. So that tips us off that, this was a pre-contrived, pre-planned, there is no crisis. He's doing this for a reason. Now, people on the left and Trump critics have been speculating on what the reason could be. I don't dismiss anybody from any other field. They have people that study, let's say, fascism or authoritarian movements. I don't dismiss them for thinking that this looks like an authoritarian movement, or anything of the such. But there's actually a reason why this is happening. Trump has wanted this fight specifically with Gavin Newsom and specifically with Los Angeles for years. He's been burning for this fight. He's wanted this fight. He was waiting for the opportunity to do this. And the reason is because he wants to make an example of Los Angeles and he wants to show them, he wants to show the rest of the country, especially cities and, that are predominantly Democratic, that they must cooperate with the immigration actions. Remember, tie this back to the policy. ICE is having trouble reaching the immigration level quotas. One of the main reasons they're having the trouble is they don't have enough manpower to carry out the operation that Trump wants. Even if, and we'll get into the big beautiful bill because this does tie back to the big beautiful betrayal, as Sarah calls it. Even if they do get the funding in that big bill, they won't have the human manpower. Trump's immigration operation has been predicated on local and state law enforcement assisting with immigration raids. What they quickly ran into was local and state law enforcement has overwhelmingly been refusing to participate. So they don't have the manpower. ICE doesn't have the manpower. ICE has the quota. Local and state officials won't cooperate. Trump sees this opportunity in Los Angeles to break Los Angeles, make an example of Los Angeles for all the other cities in the country, because he figures that if he can make an example of LA or Southern California, the rest of the country will fall into line and he'll be able to carry out his mass deportation. So that's where we are on that. That's why this is happening. Now, I titled this that Trump's operation is failing. And it is failing because in order for Trump to successfully pull this thing off, he really needed the people of Los Angeles to react to his provocation. His provocation is quite simply an attempt to escalate and manufacture a crisis. Now, this is where the Marines come in. Trump has been wanting to send in those Marines since Sunday. But if you're manufacturing a crisis, by this point, Trump was hoping for chaos and violence in the streets. There's no chaos and violence in the streets, really. I mean, there's some, but according to even Fox News' own estimate, there's about 6,000 people out protesting last night. To give you an idea, as I wrote in a story for Politicus USA, Bernie Sanders and AOC drew 5 to 6 times more people than that for their fighting oligarchy rally. So, the crowds, the violence, the chaos that Trump needed as a predicate to bring in the big military operation to carry out a mass, and I mean massive, bigger than you can imagine, immigration sweep in Southern California isn't there. But since he's committed to this fantasy, he has to pretend like it is. Now, that's where we get into the 700 Marines. Again, there's a tell with these 700 Marines. These 700 Marines aren't coming in to do immigration operations. Well, first of all, because that would be illegal. Can't use military against on domestic soil. So he's bringing them in to quote unquote protect federal buildings. He's protecting federal buildings that no one is bothering as of right now. So here we have a president who's manufacturing a crisis, thinks he should have escalated violence by now, and the response to that violence was going to be the Marines. But the Marines are going to protect buildings and protect ICE agents from violence. When the people of California have been pretty darn restrained so far, and they really, really deserve credit because local leaders, state leaders have been urging them to not give Trump what he wants, especially Governor Gavin Newsom and others, Mayor Bass as well. Do not give Trump what he wants by escalating this. There are always going to be bad actors in these situations that look to take advantage of these, take advantage and for their own means and purposes. But in large part, people have been peaceful. They're protesting, and they're not doing what Trump needed them to do. And I can't emphasize this enough. He needed them to be violent. Okay? And it's not, he needed sort of a mass violence. I mean, let's face it, California, LA especially, has a pretty dark history of civil unrest that turns ugly, not to minimize it, because lives have been lost, things have happened. It's had some history. Trump was once again trying to play into the darkest impulses of our culture and society and trying to fan those flames. So far, it hasn't worked. This whole thing is failing. It's ridiculous. It looks like a complete and utter embarrassment. Hey, we're almost at a new record for live viewership, by the way, guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And just a reminder, these chats are free for everybody. I also will be doing some stuff. Sarah as well. Sarah and I both will be doing some stuff for subscribers. So I'm Sarah is the editor and generalissimo boss of the Daily. I help out at the Daily. I oversee Politicus USA, where Sarah also shows up. See, we have a neat little arrangement there because Sarah does great long form journalism, and the Daily specializes in more of that. I write newsier little things to kind of keep you guys updated and going on. And she's really good at that too. She's actually good at everything, unlike me. Um, but those are our newsletters. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Okay, we got a whole lot of people here. I'm not going to be able to get to everybody on the hellos, but let's do some greetings. Karen Coles, I recognize that name. Hello. Eileen Newton. Hello, Eileen. Merrick. Merrick, No Kings protest Saturday, June 14th. We will be talking about that. And in fact, we will be covering that bad boy. We're going to hopefully have somebody on the scene here locally, getting your video and talking to people live, because there's something cool about rural red Trump areas that are coming out to protest. Dog Cat Mom. Oh, that's a great name. Hi, Dog Cat Mom. Uh, Danielle. Hi, Danielle. Daniel B. and Bethany Doherty. Hope it's Doherty. Thank you, and hello. California Dreaming on such a winter's day. Thank you. Mary Beth Swafford. Oh, sorry, Swafford. That was my fault. Hello. Kevin Paquette just joined. Casey Butcher Santana. Hello. Oh, Rebecca. Oh, I'm gonna try it. Rebecca Kamali Iokuga. Oh, I probably got that so wrong. I'm sorry, but hello. Um, Jim Latt and Justin C. Birnbaum. Hello. I'm so happy you guys are here. Now, so Donald Trump is failing. I'm going to try to scroll up in the chat here in case you guys have left any questions. Besides, I did see a question. How long do we get this guy out of here? That question comes up a lot. Let me talk to you about that. We can't. Unless the Senate has a change of heart, the Senate Republican controlled Senate, even if Democrats take back the House, and we need 67 votes to remove this man from office. Senate Republicans have already shown that they have no inclination towards voting him out of office or removing him from office. And if you think his cabinet will go anywhere near the 25th Amendment, his hand-picked cabinet of Fox News and sycophants, there's no chance. There's no chance of that happening. Basically, we've talked about this before in previous chats, but for anybody new, what we have to do is you have to limit his power. Mike Johnson said it on Sunday. I wrote it for Politicus USA. If Democrats take back the House, Trump's presidency is over. It will become a 2-year presidency because Democrats will be able to shut him down, block him, and the investigations will begin. So, and the investigations, you might think, well, nothing will happen from these investigations. They're valuable because if Democrats win the White House in 2028, House Democrats will save all their investigative material, turn it over to the next Department of Justice that is democratically controlled, and say, look what we have for you, a pre-made case against Trump administration officials for wrongdoing. Trump may be immune from prosecution, but his administration is not. Always keep that in mind. And anytime you see, because I write a lot about Democrats taking actions, doing investigations, I don't do that for my health. I don't do that just to make everybody feel good. It's because these are the first steps in what eventually leads to accountability. But that accountability will be delayed and denied as long as Republicans keep winning elections. So you want things to change. You want Trump limited. You want this thing stopped. I'm not a partisan activist, but I can tell you from a political science point of view, voting the opposition party into power and breaking one party control is the way to limit the president and box him in and stop this. If you don't, then there's going to be more of the same. Ida, hello. Ann Elizabeth Drew. Hi, Ann Elizabeth Drew. How are you? Susan Knowles. Hi, Susan. I'm so glad with how the protesters are staying peaceful. Thanks for being here. That is so important. And my gut feeling, Susan, honestly, is that Trump is only adding fuel to the No Kings protest this coming up this Saturday. Uh, with these actions are only going to encourage more people to go out around the country. William Lindsay and Mike Oak. Hello, gentlemen. Thank you for joining. I'm really, really happy. Susan Johnson. Oh, Susan with a fantastic quote. And remember to participate in local politics. I have to tell you, again, from a political science point of view, future leaders come from local government. You know, they don't just fall out of trees. You see what happens when somebody tries to come in with no experience from the top down, like Donald Trump, and what kind of leadership you get as a result. Good future leaders who are good at government, whether they're Democratic or Republican, come up through local politics. So yeah, participate in local politics. And I know local politics can be confusing depending on where you live, and there's a zillion elections and a zillion people running, and you don't know who's who. And Maybe you don't have time to Google or make phone calls or ask somebody. Participate. Find out as much as you can and participate. And putting good people in office leads to good government. Donald Trump is a living example of put a bad person in office, you get bad government. Kimmy Wynn, hi there. Hi, Kimmy. Oh, wow, that's awesome. Oh, Susan Knowles, my fear also about Saturday's military parade in DC. Susan, they can't. None of the equipment can be operational. It has to be hauled around on flatbeds, or else it will still going to destroy the streets in DC. But none of this stuff's operational. Don't worry about the parade. The parade's a joke. It's a farce. It's a gigantic waste of money. LA has the West Coast covered. Which state will step up on the East Coast? Good question. If I was to take a wild shot in the dark, I would say New York, but got a lot of blue states here in the East, so that anything can happen. That was from Carmen, by the way. Oh, Judy Gray, hi. Uh, Susan Matthau, hi. Joanne Baker Paul, hi, Joanne Baker Paul. Brandy Roberts, hello. Well, we've just hit, oh, this is exciting, at least for me. We've just hit a new live viewership record. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Here, let's see. I see a question above here. Let's insert another question because I told you guys to bring your questions, and you are definitely following suit. You're definitely doing at what I had asked. Sarah Niles, either impeach or the people will revoke. If that happens, red tie Republicans will be held accountable. This is a coup, and Trump is not immune from prosecution from constitutional crimes. Yes, he is immune. He is fully impeachable and prosecutable. No, he's fully impeachable, but he's not prosecutable. Immunity applies to presidential bad judgment calls, not crimes. No, that's not what the Supreme Court said. The immunity applies to everything. Everything he does within an official act as president. That's the Supreme Court ruling. He's not. Oh, somebody said they can't see me. Can you guys see me? Very interesting and informative. Uh, oh, oh, I see. Mary Kay. There's a Mari capital K. Geez, I'm really sorry about that. Sheila Summers. Hello. Um, could he use the tanks to protect federal buildings? Again, the tanks are not operational. The tanks are going to be on flatbed trucks. No. Oh, I can see you, Susan Johnson says. Thank you. David says he can see me. Thank you, guys. Because we've had our technical problems here in the past. In case you guys aren't aware, I am pretty new to this live streaming of the video thing. One of the things I got going on is we found a little spot for me to locate in. I have a whole background light, all kinds of that stuff. As you can see, I'm no expert, but once I get myself all set up and some air conditioning where I need to be, I'll be able to pop on up there and do videos whenever something's going on. So, things are changing. I meant to get everything set up last week, but it was record high heat here, and the real feel got to 91 and 93 over a few days, and I didn't think that was such a great idea. Oh, you see me, but you can't hear my good information. Do you know why that is? That is because I forgot to put my microphone on. If you guys need better audio and you give me 1 second here, I can hook up my mic and we can get this thing going right. Oh, now I gotta pull everything out of my pocket. Yeah, I carry around a wireless microphone in my pocket. That should tell you everything you need to know about me to my crack organizational skills. Um, Actually, I had forgotten the mic. I can't believe I forgot to turn it on. I had forgotten the mic when I left home, and then I forgot to put it on when I got here. I was busy texting and setting this up and not really paying attention to what I should have been doing. Okay, so here's the deal, guys. We're going to try to plug this in. Okay, we're plugged in. We're going to try to turn this microphone on. If I can find the power button, there it is. Okay. It's telling me now that the microphone is connected. I will attach this little gadget to my shirt. I'm very sorry to interrupt our conversation. Hopefully, you can hear me better now. Um, Also hearing you fine. Okay. I got some comments here. Okay, people say they can hear me. We got the microphone hooked up there just in case anybody couldn't, or I could be a little louder. Hopefully that's much better. Oh, Dr. Carrie Yazid. Hello, Dr. Carrie. Welcome to the chat. Oh, Tiffany. Hi, Tiffany. Kimberly Boudreau, I can see and hear you. All this is I love it when you guys give me feedback like this. This is really helpful. We just passed another viewership record. Oh, hearing you fine, Dr. Joe says. Dr. Joe, thank you very much. I can only see your hat. Well, that's because I moved things down a little bit. There. How about this? See me better now? There. I had to move to fit the microphone receiver. Okay, let's see here. Tiffany says hi. Okay. So if you can only see my hat, I am very sorry. Oh, we got Agnes Brown has said something for us to talk about. Uh, Agnes says, hasn't this asshole done at least one thing out of many that he could be arrested for? So this shit stops. What is the holdup? Oh, really good question. The holdup is the Supreme Court majority said that any action Trump takes as president is immune from prosecution. And they extended that immunity to basically include, anything he might do civilly while as president. Basically, while he's president, he's untouchable. So, yeah, there's no holdup. They can't do anything. And Trump's in control of the entire federal government right now. So, who's going to do the arresting? How about his cabinet? Oh, his cabinet is not immune. Oh, I have two scrolls of questions coming at me. How about his cabinet? His cabinet has no immunity. So if you notice, when Donald Trump and his administration get sued, there are always cabinet officials named in that lawsuit. So that if they decide to find them in contempt of court, or if they decide to ignore a court order, those are the people that can go down. I can't wait until he makes SCOTUS regret that decision, Tiffany says. It will happen. I believe it already has. I believe that's why they're trying to walk back some of his power and some of their recent decisions, because they know. I don't know if they thought he was going to win the election. And I definitely think they might have been a little delusional in thinking that they would have been immune from anything he might do. Because, when you give somebody a lifetime appointment, they can tend to get a little out of touch with the consequences, and accountability really isn't a thing. Back to Los Angeles, I think if I could implore the good folks in Southern California to do one thing, it would be to be loud. Protest, protest, protest. And then when you think, oh my God, I'm so tired of protesting, I can't do it again. Protesting, I cannot do it again. Protest again. Marie, term limits for SCOTUS, senators, and judges. Yeah, I think we definitely need to get term limits on the Supreme Court. I really like, I think it was Sheldon Whitehouse's idea of the term limits, and then the judges sort of become judges emeritus that can fill in, or they keep their appointment technically. They keep their salary, but they're no longer active members of the court that are doing rulings. So, that Robert. Hello, Robert. Nice to hear from you again. Yeah, Pete Hegseth is on the hook for accepting the plane in the sky. Will he give it back or go to Congress for permission? Good question. My guess is neither. My guess is he thinks he's above the law. He thinks there's a Trump pardon waiting for him, and he's not going to do either. They're going to try to ride this out and fight it out in court. And you know who has standing in this fight in court? Democrats in Congress, because Congress is supposed to have the authority to approve gifts from foreign countries, aka emoluments. Lisa Hegseth is an idiot. Anybody disagree with that statement in this chat? I think Lisa's got a unanimous consent there. Susan Knowles, yes, sue the cabinet and his other subordinates. That's exactly where enforcement will come. Jamie Raskin also has the idea that judges have the power to hold Trump administration officials in contempt and even put them in jail. Oh, we got a question on the budget bill coming up. Put them in jail, and that power by judges is exempt from presidential pardon power. That's very interesting and something we probably need to talk about at length sometime. Eileen Boyd wants to know, what is the status of the budget bill? Interesting. Budget bill going through the Senate Finance Committee. Congress is just coming back into DC tonight. So look for things to pick up tomorrow. You're going to have some Finance Committee stuff in the Senate. The budget bill has got a lot of problems. It's got a lot of problems. Where to begin with this one? Well, first of all, the moderate House Republicans say that if the SALT tax is changed, the state and local tax deduction is changed, they are voting no. Problem number one. Problem number two. There's enough Senate Republicans opposed to the Medicaid cuts and the structure of the Medicaid cuts to kill the bill. Problem number three. Rand Paul says he's got enough votes to kill the bill if the debt ceiling increase is included. Okay? That's a lot of stuff. Problem number four. The Senate originally started out that they were not going to do that much to the bill. They were just going to tinker around the edges, a little Senate mismatch, magic, whatever, change a few words. That has turned into the Senate rewriting all the key pillars of the bill. So technically, they're not going to got 1,100 pages. Okay, they're not going to do that. But they are going to mess with everything from the funding mechanisms to the cuts, the dates to when things phase in and out. It's a mess. They have 3 weeks to meet Trump and Mike Johnson's deadline of getting this whole thing passed by the 4th of July. If I was to guess, and this is just a wild guess pulled out of my little brain in the sky here, um, they're not gonna make that. I don't think it gets out of the Senate in 3 weeks. That's my opinion. But that's where we stand on the big beautiful bill. If you guys want more updates on the big beautiful bill, we can do big bad dastardly betrayal bill updates on the reg. I don't mind sitting down talking about that. My background, if any of you are new, is in political science. My background specifically is in legislative process and public administration. So I can talk about this. Susan Johnson, yes, please. I guess that would be on the big beautiful bill. Yeah, we can do more stuff like that. I'm always here to help people that's actually my whole goal is to try to make this stuff easier to understand so everybody knows what their government is doing, what their government should be doing, and how they can influence their government. Because part of my graduate work is in grassroots, public grassroots movements and how they influence the public policy process. Yeah, that's a real mouthful. That sounded a lot better when I was younger, came up with it. Okay. Oh boy. Mounting evidence of election interference. We're not going to do the election interference thing. Yeah, that's just not. There's no mounting evidence. There's till we get a state report with actual data. Let's just not do that. Yeah, the Marines, Lisa. Uh, the Marines are technically they are on American soil, but Trump's order for the Marines. This has been done regularly before. This isn't something new to Trump. They're restricted to federal property. Okay, so Trump is sending, in case you got here a little late, Trump is sending 700 Marines to guard federal buildings that no one is bothering. So it's all for show. Okay, all for show. Now, as far as some of this, we got some more hellos. Carol Hartsfield. Hi, Carol. Joanne Singer. Hi, Joanne. Thank you for coming. I really, really like Joe's Jose has joined us. Thanks, Jose. Some of your names are familiar. Donna She Writes has joined us. Nancy Spider, Shannon Sewell, Aaron has joined us. Mary Beth Matura. Hi, Mary Beth. We talked to Eileen. Tracy Kaboski. Hope I got that right. Hello. As a Western Pennsylvanian, I hope I got that right, or at least came fairly close. Paul Kirkpatrick. Oh, wow, you guys. So why is he doing this, Dr. Lisa? He's doing this to look strong. He's doing this for appearances. He's doing this as an intimidation tactic, more specifically, because he wants to use federal power to intimidate state and local governments into going along with his immigration raids. Because, as we discussed earlier, ICE doesn't have the manpower to conduct these raids. So they predicated this whole Project 2025 Stephen Miller fever dream on state and local law enforcement helping with these immigration raids. Clarion County, awesome. In the Armstrong County here. I know where you are. In fact, we were just vacationing by the Clarion River. So, hello, Lisa, Clarion County. Very beautiful place. So, ICE doesn't have the ability to carry this out by themselves. So, the reason why the Marines are there, the reason why the National Guard is there, which, by the way, Gavin Newsom, one thing we didn't hit on, Gavin Newsom and the Attorney General in the state of California are suing to get Trump's federalization of the National Guard voided by a judge. Now, if the federalization of the National Guard gets voided, that means the National Guard has to go bye-byes. They got to go home. So that's something worth to keep an eye on. Purple Army. He is doing this to distract us as well from the Epstein files and his disastrous leadership, bill, tariffs, etc. Yeah, you got I agree with that. I don't know about the Epstein files. Did substitute Epstein files for his Elon Musk feud, which I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I think Donald Trump was losing that fight with Elon Musk. Oh, yeah, everyone knows he was in the Epstein files. That's Lisa. That's not. Yeah, this wasn't exactly breaking news. Um, but it's still embarrassing, and he's really sensitive to all that stuff, as you would be if you were an adjudicated rapist, as Sarah likes to say. Uh, who will enforce the court decision assuming he loses in court? Dr. Lisa. Wow, that's the big question, isn't it? That is why, Dr. Lisa, when he gets sued, it's not just going to be him, it's going to be Pete Hegseth and probably Kristi Noem or anybody else on Homeland Security that was involved in this. And then those people will be the ones that'll feel pressure, potential contempt of court, potential punishments. It's really unfair, but it's a pattern here. That Trump skates. The Supreme Court gave Trump the ability to skate, and that is what's going to happen while he's in office. Okay, Lisa says they wanted to disappear and they want self-deportation is because the cost of due process. Yeah, they don't. Yeah, they don't. Well, they don't believe immigrants in this country have the right to due process. The thing that I think bothers me really deeply about this is there were a number of naturalized citizens or immigrants that have come to this country that supported Donald Trump. And those people don't realize it, but you can see with the actions he's done to take away protective status and deport Venezuelans and other people from countries that are where they would be in danger if they were sent back to. If you're an immigrant in this country, your citizenship is not safe. And so people need to realize that. Uh, Mary, are they going after anyone because they can't make the quota to find millions of illegal aliens? They say they're in the country illegally. Yes. It's because they can't find enough criminal aliens to deport. Because you know why? Remember when Donald Trump said, "Oh, Biden let all the criminals in," and "Oh, it's been horrible." This is going to surprise you. Hold on to your hats, kids. He lied. Biden's been deporting. I mean, if you're an immigrant in this country and you commit a crime, you will get deported. That's been the law for a very, very, very long time, and presidents across both parties have enforced it. Um, oh, were the judges successful in trying to get the U.S. Marshals under their jurisdiction? That is a proposal from Jamie Raskin. That would go through Congress, Anita asked, because and that will go through Congress. I would suspect that in one of these big bills, the final version, Democrats are going to try to put that in there. Lisa says, because immigration is completely under the executive branch, they feel like they should be allowed to do whatever they want without the interference of anyone else, pretty much. There are also a lot of illegal, quote unquote, undocumented aliens who came in and asked for asylum. They didn't win immigration visa lotteries. That's right. And a lot of those people that have asylum or have had asylum in many cases for years have had that. It's now under threat from Trump. Democratic presidencies, I mean, even the presidency of George W. Bush granted asylum to people that were in danger. That's the American way. What Trump is doing is very un-American. Oh, Tony Blair has joined us. Hello, Tony. Stephen Hanka and Deborah Fisher have joined us. Hi, guys. Thank you for coming. Lisa, yes, and now it's being revoked in large swaths. Yes, it is. I mean, and anybody who thank you for elaborating with your answers. Well, you're very welcome, Mary says. Susan Knowles, agreed. It's horrible to see non-criminals deported cruelly. Yes, these people do have a right to due process, and I'm not going to be one of those people that always harp on due process because honestly, most of the country isn't paying attention. And when we lapse into arguments about due process and technical maneuverings, eyes glaze over. People tune out. So it's morally wrong. How Trump is deporting people, to put it in a very simple way, is morally wrong. It's not, it's un-American and it's wrong. And, we all can sit there and have substantive conversations about why it's wrong and the points of the law that are being violated or ignored. But the truth is, for most Americans to understand this, it's just plain wrong. Hey, we have a new viewership record. Thank you very much. We wouldn't have this viewership record without you guys coming in here and listening to me talk this whole time. Like I'm doing some kind of Cory Booker 23 and a half hour filibuster kind of deal. Um, well, technically it wasn't a filibuster. It was just a speech because he wasn't filibustering any legislation or disrupting Senate business. Again, technical definition. Uh, Peter Sakowski, hiya. Hope it matters. I see you. Up Nunya. Oh, I hope I said that right. Again, if I ever screw up a name, please tell me I screwed it up. I will correct it. I will apologize to you. I think everybody deserves to be called by their name. Hello, Peter. Robert, I just need for 25 hours. That may be true, but I don't know if I would survive 25 hours. And I'm not sure what I would do for 25 hours. Mary, why did Booker vote for Kushner? She's talking about Charles Kushner for ambassador. That's actually a really cool, interesting little story that just, first of all, Kushner, Jersey, New Jersey, first of all. That's the first point. Secondly, Booker said that Charles Kushner helped him pass and get signed into law a piece of legislation. Helped him get bipartisan support. I think it was on prison reform that was very important for him. So he voted for Kushner, kind of a thank you, pay it forward politics kind of thing. Not sure that I'd be cool with that, but the reasoning makes sense. And by the way, these ambassadorships, so many unqualified people around the world now representing the United States. Because Kushner's next con and he conned Booker, nah, there was actually some politics there. Um, you know, I don't. That's a questionable one, and Booker thought it was worth taking the bullet on, metaphorically, and so I would never. I don't care what somebody like that helped me with. I would never vote for him to be ambassador. But Booker probably thought this dude getting confirmed anyway. My vote doesn't really matter. So, why not? Um, and that's just political calculus. I if it was a critical vote, like if Kushner got the ambassadorship because of Booker's vote, I think that's a lot more reason to be critical. That was some reason to be very angry about that. Booker's vote wasn't important, and it didn't matter. So that's that. I mean, I hate to be kind of cold and blunt about it, but that's it. And picking on it's kind of nitpicky, you know. I would never have done it. I don't think it's something that is advisable to do, really. But you know, he did it. Heather A. and Robbie Houston. Hi to Heather A. and Robbie Houston, if you're both there. Oh, I see our old buddy Sean popped up a while ago. Sean writes. Sean writes the Blue Dot, and I think you should look into Sean's publication. Uh, Up, Dr. Lisa. Do you think the regime will activate the Guard in other states? How should governors respond when that happens? What a great question, Dr. Lisa. Fabulous question. Because Gavin Newsom told us that the executive order or the order of the Trump side activating the Guard wasn't limited to just California. So if he gets away with this in California, this is coming to other states, which is why all the evidence points to this leading to some sort of national immigration crackdown that's going to spread to big cities, blue cities all around the country. And I just pounded the table, and I shouldn't have done that because that makes a noise. Not so good. So that is where how should other governors react when this happens? Part two of Dr. Lisa's question. Hmm. They should sue. They should refuse to have any of their law enforcement cooperate. And they should, if it was me, use my law enforcement powers, state and local, to protect protesters. So, that would be where I would put my power, and I could see if they tried to do this in a place like Illinois, Governor Pritzker doing exactly that. I could see Shapiro doing that in Pennsylvania, even though I don't think they're going to come to Pennsylvania. Tiffany says, "Oh, Southern California point of view. Southern Californian here. I love the way Gavin Newsom has responded to Trump. This is a blueprint for other governors." Yeah, and I think Governor Newsom's very aware of that. He's the test case, and also he up also he we got to get to something here. Also, he knows he's got a presidential campaign. He's coming up in 2028. This is a big moment for him. Um, Hope Matters. Boy, we really need to talk about this, guys. Hope Matters says terrified for June 14th. Don't be. It's nothing. Okay, don't nothing's gonna happen on June 14th. Don't pay attention to the Facebook conspiracy crap. I shouldn't say nothing's gonna happen. Uh, what's gonna happen on June 14th is there's gonna be a huge No Kings protest. Trump, I'm not. I don't think he's smart enough to plan this on purpose, but Trump's little military shindig for his birthday, uh, I think is gonna be trying to drown out the protest. So let's uh let's put it that way. Remember, everything coming into DC on June 14th is coming in on flatbed trucks. It's not operational. So there's nothing going to happen on June 14th as far as that stupid military parade. No, he's not setting himself up for martial law. Cat, let's talk about this. Cat says, but isn't he setting himself up for martial law, which looks like he was setting himself up for since the beginning? And his Bones per celebration is by part of the authoritarian takeover? No. No. No, no. First of all, why would Trump start his martial law setup in a place he already controls? Okay. If you were going to set himself up for martial law, wouldn't you roll the tanks into, I don't know, New York? Wouldn't you roll it into a big population center with a lot of Democrats and a lot of economic power? Um, no, no, this isn't martial law. I will say this again and again and again until I'm blue in the face. Donald Trump has no interest in martial law or being a dictator. Donald Trump is here to rob the country blind. Um, Okay, here's a good so, just remember with Trump, the simple motive is always the one that's true. What's the one through line through Donald Trump's entire life? Money. Trump's net worth has doubled in the short time he's been in the Oval Office, and I think that's just the tip of the iceberg in what we know. Um, well, the California thing, nah. Well, the California thing's about immigration. I understand that, but we gotta, like, pay attention and we gotta be careful because this is why it's important we stand up right now. Not so much that he imposes martial law. Martial law is not gonna happen. If he imposes martial law, a whole bunch of Americans who aren't paying attention right now are gonna wake up real quick. Oh, yeah. Anita asked, "So do you think Trump and his family will take the money and run after his presidency?" Yes. Yes, I do. I think they're gonna take their billions upon billions of ill-gotten gains, and they're gonna split. I also think that the Trump family can owns the Republican Party now, and I wouldn't be surprised if, the 2028 Republican nominee isn't a guy named JD, but somebody with the last name of Trump. What do we do if he does call martial law? If that happens, and if the military actually would obey that order, all hell is gonna break loose. I would expect states to absolutely refuse to comply. Uh, the closest thing we could have to a, new civil war break apart of the United States, and I'm not a big ab conspiracy believer in this, but this is the kind of big thing that could cause, real fractures in the country. Um, so, well, Trump Jr. was quoted assuring the Saudis he was gonna run, Lisa says. Yes. You know, Donald Trump wants Ivanka to be the heir apparent, but we all know the one who really wants it is Donald Trump Jr. And he's the one that's been doing all the groundwork with all the Republican groups and everything else. And I wouldn't be surprised if they just shovel old JD off to back to Silicon Valley with Peter Thiel and you know Donald Trump Jr. runs. Yeah, another Trump grows somewhere down the road. Be looking for it. Blue states would refuse. That's correct, Dr. Lisa. God, yeah, I think that, the martial law thing, like, everyone acts like Trump's just gonna impose martial law and, like, the country's just gonna fall under his thumb. First of all, what in anywhere in Trump's political career makes you believe that he could competently take over the country? Okay. Where's the timeline? Where's the intelligence? Where's the ability? What has Trump ever done? Um, we saw what he tried to do in 1/6 and basically got a bunch of hillbillies to cause a bunch of violence and kill some police officers, but that wasn't to take over the country. That was for him to stay where he was. Yeah, so, mm, I don't really I don't really think what's going on there. The problem with blue states and red states, they're opposite people in those states. I'm a blue dot in a red state. Life would be dangerous for me if somehow it became blue against red. I'm not sure it would be blue against red. That's probably a simplification. I think you're looking at more of a fundamental tearing of the very fabric of the country. We look at the Civil War from a macro perspective that was North versus South, but within that North and South, there were elements that entire families were ripped apart down fault lines. Um, oh, this is a really good one. Let's see. Cat, yeah, Cat. I know that you're kind of convinced that martial law is coming, and I'm just going to tell you to, just hang in there. You know, you believe that, and I respect that, but yeah, just hang in there. Watch what he does, not what he says. Always. Okay. We got a really good question here from Lisa. As it is, as a widow on disability, I can't be sure I will have an income in 2 years. Um, you know, that's a whole other video, and that's a really big one. The Social Security, this is the big moment, this big, beautiful bill went for Social Security as well. What if this bill goes down or is fundamentally changed? Then we have a real chance at breaking this whole thing apart. Remember, if this doesn't happen now, it's probably not going to happen because 2026 election year, Congress is in an even shorter session than usual. Um, Now everybody's going to be focused on the election. There's not going to be a major legislation coming out of 2026. Apparently, they have quit paying people Texas Medicaid, Lisa says. Yeah, some of these red states are taking advantage of the situation. Red states that already have crappy Medicaid programs. Yeah. A friend did not get their Social Security in Texas. Kat says, is that what you're referring to, Lisa? Yeah, this is the problem. Elon Musk basically broke the Social Security infrastructure system. So things are really starting to go a little haywire. And there's nobody there to really pick up the pace. Uh, Up, Susan is leaving us. Thanks, Jason, and everyone concerned for America. Very informative. Bye for now. Support for Social Security. Um, Oh, Lillian. Hi, Lillian. You're a chat regular. Lillian says red is pretty divided. Techno goobers versus MAGA versus Freedom Caucus types. Lillian, great observation. Yeah, Republicans have had this simmering three-way civil war probably, let me think for a sec, at least since the second term of George W. Bush. Uh, and that situation keeps getting papered over when Trump wins, but it's going to explode one of these days. And when it does, boy, is that going to be wild. Somebody brought up earlier Elon Musk starting a third party. Uh, yeah. I wouldn't be worried about it because Musk is going to rip apart the Republican Party. Musk's bros are not overall Democrats. His obsession with cutting funds will end Social Security if anybody disability. Heritage Foundation has advocated for cutting disability recipients down to only poverty level. I will not be surprised if they decide to start throwing people off Social Security and forcing them to reapply to save money. Lisa, the good thing about that is none of that can be done without an act of Congress. You know, that's why Trump didn't get any further with these Doge hacking up of Social Security, and they had to monkey around the federal parts of implementation that he controlled. This again is why all this nonsense stops in 2026 if Democrats take all back all their part of Congress. You guys are awesome. I'm looking at the time. We've been here for about an hour. We're going to stop right here. I appreciate you all. Again, I'm Jason Easley. Please subscribe to Politicus USA and The Daily. Or, read it. We give free content on both each day. Money can be a little tight right now for people, so that's understandable. Uh, but if you can afford to support us, we really would appreciate it because we're just regular folks. We're not corporations. We're not millionaires. We're not. You never see me on cable TV or Sarah. We're not the celebrity type. We're just people. We're just people trying to do a good job for you guys. Uh, Thank you. We will discuss, Sarah and I, and try to get something back for you later this week. I'll give you some notice when the next video is going. I appreciate you all. Let's see. Oh, I got thank yous for everybody. Thank you, Peter. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you for the great questions. I'm trying to scroll up, but there's a lot of likes coming in, which is really super, you guys. You guys are awesome. Wow, that went fast. Thank you. Some people have to listen to me all the time, may not think it goes that fast. Chris Waddell, you are great. Thank you. Susan Johnson, thank you. Thank you. Ellen Boyd, I always feel bad. I see some people joining here at the end. Oh, goodness. Hope Manners. Thank you so much. I'm arranging my budget now to try to add more. Oh, that's so sweet of you. Do you have buy me a coffee? No, I don't right now. I'm sorry. When is the next one, Lillian? You're always there, Lillian. I'll let you know in advance. Tuesday's our regular day, but we're doing this on Monday night here. Oh, if I was to take a guess, probably maybe Wednesday or Friday, but I will let you guys know in advance in a couple of posts. We'll post it in the daily and in Politicus, and I'll post it in notes. And I may even do a separate post just to blast it out to all of our subscribers. Um, we'll do the best we can do. Uh, Thanks again for Sarah for letting me use her studio. I tried not to touch anything because it's really important. She spent a long time setting this thing up, and I do not want to come in here and monkey around with stuff. So thank you to everyone. Oh, you are just so appreciated, and you don't know how much your effort means to us. Dr. Lisa, thank you. And anybody who's new, thank you for showing up. I hope I made it worth your hour. I will see you again soon. And until then, I'm always writing. Sarah's always writing. Sarah wrote some really fantastic stuff today, the daily. Run over and check that out. A couple of them are free, one of them's paid. Go check them out. The daily. Here, let me give you the URL. I'll post it in the chat here. I'm sure you guys, I always assume you guys are familiar with it, but just in case you aren't, we'll put it up in the chat. This is Sarah and I, the daily. Here's the link. And I'll give you the link to Politicus USA too while I'm at it. Oops. Somebody wasn't right there. There is the link to the daily and the link to Politicus USA. Try not to give you my most recent story. Well, I have a lot of tabs open. I gotta organize myself. Um, and the link to Politicus USA. Here we go. Is coming. Um, so please check us out if you're new. Follow those links. We really appreciate it. And I'll see you soon, okay? You guys hang in there. We're gonna get through this. It's all gonna be okay.